Hello and welcome to Entrepreneurs of Africa, Mr. Nkosana. Thank you very much for joining us for the interview today. We're just going to be hearing a bit about yourself and CYALA.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, what have you been getting up to through the year and all these kind of things, man?
Man, it's been a crazy year. This one. I've been working on three things, man. I've been working on CYALA. I've been working on my professional speaking, and I've been working on my research that I do at university as well.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
How the hell do you manage to balance all these kind of things?
Man, you just realize, you come to a point where you realize that work-life balance, or what people may call work-life balance, I take a different approach to it. I look at it as work-life integration. So my work and my life are the same thing. So I don't distinguish between my work and my life. There's no balance that needs to be made there. It's the two integrated together that
not many people see in that kind of perspective at all.
Yeah, man.
Right, it's such an early young age, and you're already trying to kind of have everything sorted out so that it doesn't have to feel like work. It doesn't have to feel like something else as well.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, basically the year nearly is coming to an end, man, and I'm pretty sure everybody wants to know about what you guys have been doing with CYALA. If not many people know about CYALA, can you just tell us a bit about CYALA, man?
Yeah, man, sure. So CYALA stands for the Council for Young Africans Living Abroad, and it's an organization I founded in 2015, and I came up with the idea actually in 2014, and based on what I saw was lacking within the African community, largely broadly speaking, the African community, sense that I wasn't seeing enough professional development opportunities for African youth, and I wasn't networking or meeting like-minded people who were interested in the same things as myself. So created CYALA to bring together African youth who were passionate about advancing Africa and wanted to become the best version of themselves, and bring together in some group. In the initial stages, it was a meetup, so a group of young people coming together and discussing things they were passionate about. And through that, then it became much more, and started to realize that CYALA really is a vehicle for professional development. So in this current form at the moment, we host workshops, conferences, competitions to help African youth develop transferable skills. So talking about critical thinking, complex problem solving, looking at as well communication skills. So a whole range of different things. And
so you guys are basically focusing on running, like, is it like workshops, or how do you guys deliver these kind of trainings and all these kind of things? How do you deliver it?
Yeah, so mainly through workshops. We have monthly workshops that we run that have different themes: personal branding, creating an online presence, managing your finances, negotiation, a whole range of different things. Then we also have our annual conference, which is our premier platform for professional development. So that's a 3-day conference. We hosted the first one in April this year in Brisbane at the University of Queensland, and we plan to host the next one in 2017.
Man, when did you say CYALA started? Because it sounds like you guys have done a lot of things already, eh? So when did you guys start up CYALA?
2015, man. So
2015, only been a year so far.
Yeah, man.
And we haven't even finished 2016.
Yeah, man, it's been quick. I think,
man,
I thought about the concept for a long time, came up with the idea in 2014, didn't do much with it until 2015, where I created a Facebook event page and invited a couple of young Africans that I thought would be interested in the idea, and met up at the State Library. And from that, I think I invited about 14 people. From that, about 8 people came to the meeting, and then from that, I got 6 people that were like, yeah, we're interested. And they formed the core team.
Man, that's
so
cool.
Yeah. I'd say like we've grown very, very quickly, and largely because of the team that we have, but also the support we've gotten. So we were fortunate enough to be a part of a program called Impact Academy last year, which is a social enterprise accelerator. So they help social businesses go from an idea to reality. And so we went through a 20-week program with them. That's awesome. Really helped us understand what CYALA was, what the business model was, who our customers were, what exactly CYALA, what we're going to do. And that's when it shifted from being a meetup to what it is now in its current form. So it's been a lot of the support we've gotten from a whole range of different people, both within the African community and outside of the African community.
Yeah.
That's made CYALA what it is today.
With the size of what CYALA has become, so there has to be a lot of work that has to go in the background. So how did you like get all the teams, I guess the people that you have within CYALA to all come and join up? I guess how did you motivate them, or how did you get them to join you?
Yeah, I think it largely came down to the vision that I had for this organization. I was passionate about African development before creating CYALA, and for me, I was not content in just being in Australia and not being able to contribute to Africa's development in some way, shape or form. And so the pitch, what I initially said to the core 6 of people that I brought to CYALA was, we're here in Australia and we're young Africans, we're passionate about African development. There's something that we can do to drive social and economic change across the African continent. And it was basically based on 2 pillars. So one, for us to become future leaders, so get all the skills and resources, things that we need to become the best versions of ourselves. So if we're naturally passionate about African development and we have the skills and resources, then we're naturally going to figure out ways to advance Africa in some way, shape or form. And then the second one was this whole notion of borderless thinking, in the sense that Africa is a large place, and often at times you have ethnic and regional, country-specific conflicts that get in the way of progress. But a special thing is that when you're abroad, if I see another brother or sister on the street, or someone, whether black, white, Indian, if I hear some sort of African accent or something, I just instinctively say hello. And that's such a powerful thing, because it doesn't matter what country they're from. It just matters that they're African in some way, shape or form, and we're able to relate on that level. So yeah, she said, we're here in Australia, we can advance Africa in some way, but let's develop ourselves, and let's also now instill this notion of borderless thinking within other African youth. Because if we do those 2 things, then Africa, there's nothing holding us back. If we can work together,
that's very
holding us back.
important. Because you see, as many of us come from overseas, or from Africa, we kind of forget that we came to a different country to learn. We came to learn and actually take that knowledge and apply it to ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
By learning 2 different ways of doing things, you actually become a lot better.
Definitely,
so,
man.
Big congratulations on your team for doing that. Next question that I had was basically, the concept, you don't call yourself a director or a CEO or anything like that. You call yourself a chief. Why did you decide to actually use that title instead of director or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I think it's important with any well, first of all, CYALA is non-political, non-religious, and non-racial. And what that means for us is that we've realized that those are areas in which, if we were to go down, it would hamper our initiatives to create change in the way that we want to create change. And so the non-racial part is really, I think oftentimes is within the continent is, black versus white, or there's a whole range of different racial conflicts that arise, and justifiably so. But for us, it's about, if you're a young African and you're passionate about African development, then we want to have you in part of our tribe and part of our community. But the reason I raise that is because for me, I gain a lot of insights and knowledge from a whole range of different places, whether that be religion, whether that be different cultures, etc. So the reason for the whole, the chief and tribe and those elements of things is because I find it's very important when you're building a movement that the people within the movement have to have some sort of unique language that separates them from others. So if you look at that's why we have chief, we have tribe, but if you look at religion as well, the specific words that different religions use, right? That really, if you say those words, you identify with those people. Hallelujah, for example, Christianity, Muslim, Islam has got different words as well. But that's a really crucial thing, because that language then unifies the people who are part of the movement. And so for us, it's developing those different terminologies that distinguish us as young Africans who are part of CYALA in this tribe and what we're about. With that being said, depending on who I'm talking to, obviously as chief of CYALA, I've got a responsibility to our people within CYALA and the extended community. But then when I'm doing business development work for CYALA, I sometimes switch it up and go founder and managing director, but it just depends on who I'm talking to.
Exactly
I think it's an important thing, because not everyone who's
Understand the language.
part of the tribe is like, oh, like, chief, what? You know, I'm me talking to a corporate organization or something, and in the initial instances they don't know me, I will use that founder and managing director. When they do start to understand that I'm able to tell them our vision and what we do, then I gradually shift to the founder and chief, and they go, that makes sense. You know, our conference this year, we started off with the title, I think it was like a National African Youth Conference, and I was like, that's boring. Everyone's like, that's boring, so we changed that to Love Being African Gathering, and that was really that terminology, right, of us coming together and having our own unique language.
Basically, in just a short amount of time, and CYALA has done so much, and your tribe has not only just grown from Brisbane, but you're actually outside of Brisbane as well. Tell us other places that you actually been targeting and you're already working in as well.
Yeah, man, sure. So we have a presence in Perth, we've got a presence in Sydney, and we have a presence in Melbourne as well.
Yeah.
And those are places where we want to be in every major city within Australia in the initial stages, and then look at expanding elsewhere. But those are areas where we identified those large communities of African youth, and we wanted to be there. And the progression for us, how that came about, was we hosted our first couple events in Brisbane, and the photos were a large part of that, of posting those on our Facebook page, and other young Africans saw that and were like, how can I get involved? And our recruitment at the beginning was like literally people sending us a message on Facebook, oh, how can I get involved? Me taking the call, hey, how you doing? You want to be part of CYALA? Great. Phone down, host an event for us. And that's just how we grew. And I mean, a lot of it was a hit and a miss. We had an initial team in Melbourne that hosted one event for us, and then that team, none of those people who were part of that team are working with us anymore. And that's just a natural progression, a natural thing of where we realized that as a result of not having a structured recruitment way to recruit people, then that just, it fell through.
So how did you build a system to actually get the right people who understands the vision of CYALA to actually be able to maintain what you already have and what you want to do?
Man, it's just, I do a lot of reading. So, you know, people talk about reading books and things. I barely read books. For me, just good business books have got one key idea, and if I grasp a key idea, then I don't need to read the book. So I literally can read the back. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I got that. That's cool. I don't have time to be reading 300 pages of like a repetition of for different, I guess, a way to describe one idea. Once I get it, I'm good. But what I do read is a lot of articles. The main channel for me for knowledge is Harvard Business Review, and their articles are fire, man. Like that's life for me. Like I religiously read the Harvard Business Review, and that's why I got a lot of the different things that we have now in CYALA, because the Harvard Business Review is practitioners, it's researchers in the field of business, and they only accept the best. Like these are the top people in the business that are writing these articles. I'm like,
So what do you see like as in the importance of when you run a business? What's like important about you actually maintaining yourself, your education as well? You know, teaching yourself. What do you see as a value in that?
It's everything, man. Because when you're running a business, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. People are delusional. Some people are delusional, and people think that, you know, running a business is fun. You know, you be out there on Snapchat or you posting this and that. You know, like I'm grinding today, I'm working hard. But the people who are really grinding aren't doing any of that. And like the thing is, like the business thing is like the most difficult thing you'll ever have to do. The amount of times that I've gone, oh man, CYALA's not gonna work out, and then like 30 minutes later, oh man, we're on top of the world, something came through. Like it's a roller coaster, man. So in order for you, it's pretty much, I look at it and I go, when you start a business, it's a child. It's a little infant child, and you have to nurture that child in order for it to grow. Mm-hmm. And so right now, CYALA is an infant. Like, we don't have established systems and processes. We aren't where I'd like to be. Our culture isn't where I'd like to be. I'd like it to be. The things that we could do better. How do we do that? By me reading, understanding more about business and learning, and then utilizing those learnings and nurturing CYALA. And so eventually, CYALA grows from an infant to a toddler to an adult, to a teenager to an adult.
So how do you maintain the motivation to get that from the infant to the adults? So how do you maintain the motivation between those?
Man, you just gotta know what your why is. You know, I wrote this down for me a long time ago. I've got this document on my computer where if you want to know who I am, that document, Excel spreadsheet, like has everything. Like that's me, and in there it's like this one tab, it's like called foundation, and I wrote down there, what do I want out of life? And I wrote down 10 different things, and I wrote down, why do I want these things? And I wrote down 4 different things, and I go, what is my life mission? And at the bottom, after all that whole thought process was, I want to advance humanity through business. That's my mission. That's my life mission. That's it. What is my current focus? African youth, because if you look at it, Africa, like, I mean, on so many indicators, man. You look at Fortune 500 companies or a ranking of educational institutions, life expectancy. You know those maps that go like green for good or high, and then like not, Africa is always either like gray, non-existent, we don't have any data there, or red or orange. And I'm like, that's injustice for me. And it's like somewhere from where I'm from. So I channel, that's what I think of constantly every day, man. It's like I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing at the moment. And yeah, maybe taking some time and things may not be going the way I want them to go, but I know I'm right where I need to be. And so every day I just look back to that document and I go, am I advancing humanity through business today? Yes. Am I focusing on developing African youth? Yes. And that's all that matters, man.
Mr. Nkosana, last question before we let you go. What would your advice be to anybody that actually has an idea that they want to start but just lack the motivation? Because you mentioned at the start before that you took you in 2014, you didn't start CYALA till like about 2015. So what was that final kind of thing that made you like, okay, I must do this? What was that?
Yeah, man, this is a story in itself. So the reason I didn't start CYALA at that time is I was working on another business. It was an English pronunciation software company, and I was working in Sydney at the time with Telstra, working in that business, and I didn't have the time to work on CYALA. So it was too heavily invested in this one. And it got to a point in time with that venture where I realized this wasn't what I wanted to be doing long term. I was, yes, advancing humanity through business with the software, but it wasn't the way in which I wanted to do it. And so I took some time out, and then I remember watching BBC News. They were talking about the Ebola crisis as if it was affecting the entire African continent, and I found that was a huge injustice. And so that's really what motivated me to start CYALA from there. That's when I was like, yeah, I need to do something about this. I just couldn't sit there and just accept that for what it was. So in terms of those who are interested in starting a business, man, I feel like this year, like a lot of people have started a business. I look at the African community specifically, and I look at it and I go, so many people, everybody got something, right? Everybody running some venture, some initiative, doing something, and that's great, and I love that. But what I think is two things. Prior to motivation is that one is you've got to be clear on your why. You got to be clear on why you're doing this, because if your goal is I'm going to make $1 million by 30, I can assure you, like, that's not. I don't even know. It may work for you, but it's not a strong enough why. Because when the going gets tough, you go, this idea isn't working. I'm going to try to do something else that's going to get me that million. It should come from a point. It doesn't have to be, but for me, it comes from a point of serving others, of trying to help people, and through helping them, yes, I create value through that, and that's where I approach it. But the second thing is being self-aware and understanding that not everyone is cut out to start a business. Not everyone can be the founder and CEO of a company. Not everyone can be founder and chief of whatever organization it is. Sometimes you're the number 2 or 3 person. It's being real with yourself and understanding what is your skill set and where can you add value the most. Because often people's egos, I have to be the managing director, I have to be the founder. You don't have to be, no. You can provide even more value in a different role, perhaps. But it's having a real conversation with yourself and understanding that. And the third thing I'd say is that patience. That often at times people rush into starting a business and they launch something, or they say, this week I'm going to launch this thing. No research has been done, no customers, no product, poor marketing, poor flyers, poor everything. You go, what exactly business have you started? Then you talk to them the next week and go, I'm not doing that anymore. And for me, what that means is that next time you start something or you launch something, people are going to be like, just another, here he goes again, or she goes again, starting something else. The thing is, being patient and understanding that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. The way I'm building CYALA, it's not about us blowing up a year from now, 2 years from now? Is CYALA existing 10 years from now? Is CYALA existing 80 years from now? It's about understanding that you gotta, it's not a sprint, man. You gotta
build a
build
strong
slowly.
foundation so that your building kind of stays strong as well.
That's it. You
basically.
gotta build an empire. Don't build
That's
build
it.
a shanty, like what's it called? Yeah, man. I can't even stress that enough. You know what I mean?
Point, right? Build a strong foundation.
Yeah. So it irks me a lot.
That's awesome, man. Bro, I love the vision, what you're doing with CYALA. So how would people, if wanting to reach out to CYALA, how would they get in touch with you anyway?
Yeah, man. So I would say reach out to our Facebook page, CYALA, CYALA, Council for Young Africans Living Abroad. You can reach us there. And if you need to reach me personally, check out my website, www.nmafico.com. I've got everything that I'm currently doing on there. And if you want to send me an email, please do so.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Nkosana.
Thank you very much, man.
Love to see more from CYALA.
Looking forward to this video, man. Thank you very much.